You think you're pushing your teenager to excel so they can have a bright future, but the raw medical and academic reality is that relentless, uncalibrated academic pressure is destroying their mental health, including chronic panic and driving them straight into burnout before they even set foot on a college campus. Over 60% of high school students suffer from severe anxiety tied directly to performance expectations. Yet traditional parenting advice tells you to just add more tutoring, add more AP classes, and more pressure. Welcome to the Edge of Steps podcast, powered by Laddering Your Success. We don't just do standard cliches. We build systems for your household. If you're a strategic parent who wants systems over stress, be sure to hit that subscribe button now. Let's start off by introducing the crew. I'm going to start off with the founder of Laddering Your Success, Festus Samoye. How are you doing today, Festus?
I'm super excited to be here, man. I want to take a brief moment to pause in a moment of silence for one of our mentors, great teacher, great community leader, Pastor Baba. He's a father to a lot of us and just led by great example, by great example of character and great example of caring. You know, right now, a lot of people are hurting and we need great leadership, and he's shown great leadership for decades. And so with that being said, we'll take a quick moment of silence and then we can rock.
Absolutely.
And so with that, I know we got episode for our parents, talk about the pressure that some of the students face brought about in the household. And so let's get to it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Festus. So let's start off by looking at the B, right? The identity shift that's required in your home. These days, most parents operate with a fear-based posture, right? We mistake that hypervigilance for effective leadership. A lot of times, parents tie their child's worth directly to the gradebook. According to some recent clinical adolescent data, teenagers who perceive that parental approval is conditional on academic perfection suffer from significantly higher rates of depression and executive dysfunction. You must shift from being a high-pressure overseer to a strategic anchor who models resilience and emotional stability. When a household shifts from performance obsession to character engineering, kids stop reacting out of fear and start responding with strategic purpose. So that brings us to the first trigger of the episode. Type HEAL in all caps, HEAL in the comments right now if you're ready to replace great anxiety with real household strategy. And that brings us to our first question. What is the number one warning sign that academic pressure has crossed the line from healthy motivation to toxic mental harm in a teenager?
Man, I would say, that's a good one. That's a tough one. I would say maybe arguing.
Yeah, arguing. I think arguing is a good one. I look at the question itself. I think about motivation. So usually you start to see a lot of students panic. And in that panic, you'll hear them say certain things like, I got to do this because XYZ. If that XYZ has something to do with the parent and not, I need to do it for the actual grade. I need to do it because I'm trying to get into this school. I need to do it because it's just the right thing to do. If it's more the consequence of, oh, my mom's gonna kill me because of this, right? And don't get me wrong, some parents are like, that's the expectation, we want you to get this grade, but there needs to be a feeling or a notion that you, as a high school student, I already know, I do the assignment, I get the grade, right? It shouldn't be, the source of your anxiety shouldn't be the reaction of your parents, right? So I think that's when That's a good sign for me when I'm like, okay, what's the real reason that we're doing this?
Yeah, I
Okay,
definitely.
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Festus.
No, I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's examine the no. We're going to talk about the hard facts. High school counselors right now, 2026, August 2026. By the way, shout out to all of you students and parents that are starting school right now. For the students, welcome back. For the parents, praise the Lord. I know you get a little bit of freedom. Let them go. Let them go. But right now, as our students are heading back to school, high school counselors are managing over 400 students each, and they rarely have time to address mental health or holistic life strategies. Meanwhile, college admissions officers and employees are actively seeing a surge in students who look perfect on paper, but crumble under the first sign of friction because they've never built that internal grit, right? So you got to remember, high grades obtained through chronic burnout will never buy back your child's mental health or career sustainability.
You know, just on that topic, I think that's something that parents, you got to really look at, is that yes, they might be able to get good grades, but if their mental health isn't intact long term, right, that's going to affect everything that they do, who they get in relationships with. It's going to affect, because you know, sometimes kids get rebellious just off of that. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, okay, you put all this pressure on me now, so I'm gonna go in this direction, and that could really hurt them in the long term. But they got good grades though. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's keep it moving.
Wonderful point, man. So parents, let's ask ourselves, is your home a sanctuary where your child recharges, or a secondary pressure cooker where they feel constantly evaluated? So this is why we built the app 2.0, which we're extremely excited about, right? If you have access, www.lyslessonplanner.com. Did I get that right, Festus, or the lesson planning? Thank you. www.lessonplanning.com. So open the app, run the Be No Do assessment, right? The app 2.0 is going to help you replace vague pressure with clear, measurable milestone tracking. So next question, Festus. How can parents maintain those high standards without inflicting damaging mental health pressure?
Oh man, one of the biggest things is trying to take the me versus you, or the you versus I, and moving it more towards a you versus you. Are you improving? Are you doing better? Are you giving your best? You know, and really getting to a point where your child is asking themselves those questions. I'll just use an example. My kids are a little smaller, but you know, soccer started. I'm like, hey, y'all don't even know how to tie your shoes. You know, so you try to do all these cool soccer moves and stuff, but what happens? Your shoe fall off on the field. You know what I mean? And so that's them versus them. That's not, you know what I'm saying? So even though they're thinking, yeah, I got to do those cool moves, I got to get the basic and get the fundamentals, you know, which tying your soccer cleats are part of that. So
most def. I love that. I think what comes to my mind is the autocratic parent. Did I say that correctly? It's not authoritarian.
Authoritative.
Thank you so much. I know I've been butchering it.
Autocrat is like I don't know. I have to go back and look up the term, but autocrat is like a fat rich person, I think, or something like that.
Okay, yeah, we don't want that. Authoritative parent. Thank you so much. Is the parent who is able to have these conversations with their student, right? Because when I think about the question, you want to maintain those high standards. This is where this age for a lot of our students is where they're starting to ask a lot and deal a lot with morality at this moment in time, right? And if you think about it, think about a lot of the books you read when you were in high school. When I was in high school, we did King Arthur, we did Romeo and Juliet. That's all I remember. I'm not gonna lie, I was a lazy student. But either way.
I'm impressed that you remember any of them. I remember Beowulf.
Beowulf, okay, yeah. So, you know, you're asking some very hard questions. at this time. And I think the biggest question for a lot of our students at this time is why? Why are you saying that I have to have these high standards? Why are you saying that an A is so important? Why? And I think it's not the A, right? It's never the A, at least for me. And please correct me if I'm wrong. It's the work that's required to get the A. It's the work that's required to get the A. See, the difference between a B and an A is a little bit of extra reading, is asking an extra question, is spending an extra couple minutes of studying time. If you're going to do that for that A, you're going to use that same energy and use that towards your passion, your purpose, your career, what your calling is, your avocation. And I think that's the conversation that a lot of our students need to have, is what's the intrinsic value? What's the intrinsic motivation for everything that we're doing right now? It's not the A, it's the work that's required to get to the A, right? So that's just a huge thing I think our young people need to do.
I love that. And that's the thing, is that what a lot of people don't, young people understand this. Young people understand this. We're talking to the parents right now. Parents and young people, please, the grade doesn't matter as much as the energy that is put in to the achievement matters.
There you go.
And so why, you say, well, why wouldn't the grade matter? Because the grade is an external validation based on somebody else. Now, we try to make grades as objective as possible, because now you could hear different schools of thought. Don't send homework home. Don't grade papers. You could hear that from educators, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, the big thing is an external validation. And so, yes, you can get some objective validation by saying, hey, 2 + 2 is 4. We should all know that, right? And that's objective. And so, but the thing is, when you're talking about some of these other classes that aren't as objective, where it's like, I didn't like the style you wrote this essay in, or something like that, that's where you start to get in to a point of where it's like your child is now judging themselves based off the external validation. And what you want to do is you want to build character so that your child can say, hey, I'm giving my best regardless of the situation, regardless of the external validation that may or may not come. Because the truth of life is this: the older you get, people start hating, the less external validation comes. And then what you gonna do? When people stop saying good job, when people stop saying, ooh, I like this, I like that about what you're doing. So now what ends up happening, your child has no more internal intrinsic motivation, right?
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there for the parents and for the kids that's listening.
Man, wonderfully said, Festus. Wonderfully said, man. I love that. So let's jump into the do portion here, okay? Let's land on the do, your 7-day household deployment plan, okay? Institute a grade-free dinner zone. Eliminate all academic grade monitoring discussions during family meals this week, okay? Conduct an audit meeting. Sit down with your teen for 15 minutes and ask them where they feel the heaviest friction, okay? And 3, set up App 2.0. Use App 2.0, we're talking about the L app, www.lyslessonplanning.com. Use App 2.0 to search for scholarships and major matching so you don't have to nag them daily, okay? So right now it's time for pressure versus purpose, all right? I want you to drop the word pressure, Pressure, in all caps in the comments. If your house has been on the edge over grades, but I want you to also drop purpose in all caps, Purpose, if you're implementing this 7-day relief plan today. All right. So last question for you, Festus. What is the first step a parent should take when their child shuts down completely due to academic stress?
Give them a hug. You know, that's the thing, is that why a hug? People say, a hug, especially I can hear my Nigerian parents. You know, they want to give them a dirty slap, you know, and it's like,
what?
the The hug helps release oxytocin and helps release hormones that help them be at peace. And then you can back up and now have a conversation, right? It's not that the conversation is not being had. It's just that you have to change the frame in which you have the conversation, because you don't want it to come across that my parents not listening to me in any situation, right? So then what's going to end up happening is that, why would I tell you you're not going to listen anyway? Versus if you just took a couple minutes to give them a hug and be like, man, I know that didn't feel good. That sucks. Okay, I'm gonna step back now. Let's talk about it. You see what I'm saying? And that 30-second hug, right? And there's actually research that says it has to be 30 seconds. Or I think it's 20 seconds or more. Will help diffuse the current emotions that they're feeling and help to reset them so you can have a good conversation.
Absolutely. So, it's so funny when you mentioned the hug initially, I was thinking about one of my favorite shows is a show called Arrested Development. And the mother was not known for being affectionate at all. And so the joke is the son was kind of having a meltdown, and his mother said, shh, she gave him a hug. She started tapping him. And the son said, what is happening? What are you doing? Why are you pressing your body against mine? That was literally what he said when she gave him a hug. But I love what you said about hugs. I would say the second thing I would do, and it's also a one-word answer, is listen. Let them get it out. Let them get it out. Because I think, in what we do, as medical exercise specialists, one of the things they tell us is when a client is, either when you're assessing someone or when you're working with someone, if you just ask your question and you listen, they will tell you everything that you need to know. Mm-hmm. And if you just don't talk and you just keep quiet even longer, they'll keep talking. And they'll start, saying, well, it may have happened from this fall that I had 15 years ago. It's like, well, we never knew about a fall that you had 15 years ago. Where'd you fall? When did this, where was it? So, I think hug and listen. I think those are two great starts, especially for our students when they're having those breakdowns. So, folks, here is your shareable soundbite for the week. Your child's mental health is the foundation of their future. Never break the foundation to build the roof. Okay? Subscribe right now and share this episode with 3 parents who need systems over stress. Next week, we're going to be exposing why being a micromanager is actually ruining your teen's career before it starts. All right? So, Professor Samoye, my name is Ole Sharanki. Thank you so much for listening to this latest episode of EduSteps Parents Edition, powered by Laddering Your Success. Let's just go ahead and hit it with the phrase that pays.
And listen, right before we hit that phrase that pays, on September 17th, if you're looking for scholarships, go ahead and holler at us. The Eventbrite is up now. We're doing our second scholarship webinar of the year. We're only doing these twice a year. We did it in February. We're going to do it on September. It ain't coming back. So I don't want you being like, oh man, I missed it. So get your tickets now, okay? Get your tickets now. And with that being said, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. Thank you for watching this episode. If you like what you heard, hit the like button. If you know somebody who needs to hear this, hit the share button. And if you think, man, that's fire, I need to hear it again, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next episode.